Hi, in this video I'd just like to go over Doom3 BFG Edition running with Reshade and SweetFX, the clear view color match setting. Now the nice thing about Doom3 BFG Edition is it actually comes with the original Doom 1 and Doom 2 as well as some added content for the actual Doom 3 game. Now the Reshade and SweetFX will apply to any of them, and you should see the Reshade and SweetFX running in the upper left when you first start the game to tell you that the effects are working, and you'll use the print screen in order to generate in-game screenshots, which can be found in the game folder. As well, the scroll lock will enable and disable the effects. Now before I start here, I'm just going to actually go over the reshade setup if you chose to do the second part, which was the upgrade of the reshade for the Reshade and SweetFX from the mod setup. So I'll just quickly go through that. If you have chosen to upgrade the reshade, when you started you would have seen a gray bar going across the top of the screen. And again, this will apply to all parts of the game, Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 3, and all the extra content. So what you want to do is press Shift F2, and you're going to just create a file which will actually link the reshade effects and the SweetFX to the new reshade here. So what you want to do is create a name, and I'll just call it Doom, and hit enter. And as you can see, it's picked up the two effects files. Now this is the original Reshade effects file, so it's actually linked to the SweetFX settings. So any settings changes that you make to the SweetFX settings text will actually apply to both the Reshade effects and the SweetFX. So now that we've done that, I'll just set my keys, and I'll make that to pause and that one to page up, and then we'll just hit continue, and my toggle keys are set and everything's good. Hit finish and just close that off and you're all set. Now I'll just disable the one effect here. Now if you're just using the standard Reshade and SweetFX, you'll have this enhancement here, as you can see it, and it does bring out the base colors and definition as well as improving the overall look of the game. Although without having the upgraded reshade, you do lose on getting that secondary layer from the secondary effects file, which basically doubles the one effects file twice. So all the settings in the SweetFX settings file is basically times 2 when you use the two together. And I'll turn it off, the second one here, in order to show you the vanilla game. And as you can see, the vanilla game still looks nice in the 1440p, although we have lost a lot of that base definition, and the color doesn't look quite as sharp. It looks more gray, and the area around it, everything's kind of gray and smudgy. So I'll turn on the one and then the other, and as you can see, it's really brought out those base colors and definition and detail. So I'm going to start the Doom 3 here, and I actually just started a new game for this video, so I'm just going to continue on and kind of go through the start of the game here, just to kind of give you a look at how everything looks and runs with the new Reshade and SweetFX. Now if you do decide that you want to alter the effects slightly, that you find that maybe the radius or the intensity is too strong in your game, then you're going to want to alter the HDR settings in the SweetFX settings file, and that will reduce that radius and kind of bleed effect if you get any of that in game. Otherwise, you should notice that basically everything in game looks a lot sharper. Your lighting, your reflections, everything around you should come through a lot more clearly, a lot sharper, and look a lot more natural. Now again, this is the clear view color match setting, so it's not really meant to change the base colors of the game or the actual feel of the game, but rather improve the overall look of the game and kind of make it look more up to date, so it doesn't look quite as old as the game actually is. So we'll just kind of let it play through the first little cinematics here, and then we'll head through and pick up our various items and talk to the security chief. Now I'll only play up to the security chief, as I don't really want to spoil the game if you haven't played it before, although it is an older game, so I'd expect most people are familiar with it at least. If you're not familiar with Doom, there is actually a movie that you can even watch that features The Rock. It's not quite like the game, but it does carry the storyline and such, and it is really neat to watch, as far as there are first-person shooter sequence and such in it. I really enjoyed that because it really reminded me of the game. But if you're unfamiliar, then BFG is actually a good series to get because it does have the original Doom 1 and 2, so you can see what the game used to look like when it originally came out. And even those games are fun to play. So we'll just kind of head through here, and I want to grab my PDA. You'll need that for the game in order to access various information, downloads, get your locker combinations and stuff as you're going through the game. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the PDA device, it's just your tab key to open it, and anything that you download will either be downloaded directly to your personal log, or if it's a different PDA from a different person, they'll be listed under their name in the log files as you go along. Now I'll just turn off the effects here. So this is how it would look with the one effect off with the Reshade and SweetFX, which if you're using just the original one, this is how it will look. And then with both of them on, that's how it looks there. Now I'll turn them both off, and as you can see, the game's really grayed out, and the base colors themselves look a lot more flat. So I'll turn on the one, and as you can see, the picture, the whites and everything are starting to come out a lot more clearly. You're getting the true blacks and the darks, and I'll just do both here, and as you can see, everything has really come out in the base game. Now I'll just close that with the tab key, and I'll just go back into this first area since we have the PDA now, and I'll download this information. As I said, that information will go to your personal file here, and that will also tell you your objectives. If you check the information, that's where the information will go, as well as video discs that you happen to pick up as you're going through. So I'm just going to head through here to the security chief. Now again, feel free to explore around and have a look at everything. As you can see, it's all coming through quite nicely. Now again, if you do suffer from any screen tearing while you're playing, just make an adjustment to your vertical sync, and that will correct any screen tearing issues that you may have. Now as far as the actual characters, you'll notice that all their skin pigmentation and detail on the actual characters is coming through quite nicely, and this will basically affect everything in all of the games. So I'm just going to let them play through this little conversation, this being the base commander, basically the head scientist that controls everything, somewhat insane. And he's talking to Mr. Swan, which has come to the base in order to kind of go over everything that's going on here and make sure that everything's up to par. Now once you go through the game, you'll find out that things aren't always as they seem, but I'll let you actually play the game to determine the events and stuff that are going to happen here. So I'm just going to kind of go through here. Now, as I said, feel free to explore around if you'd like. Now again, I'm just going to kind of head through here, grab something else for my PDA, and head for Marine Command here. Now if you happen to notice that your text or anything looks kind of off, then that's normally the FXAA in your SweetFX settings file, and you'll just want to disable that, and that will bring all the text up. Now normally if you're using DSR or VSR, then that will correct that problem, but if you're just running it at 1920 by 1080 and you do notice that the game text looks kind of fuzzy, then again that's the FXAA, and just alter that line by turning it to 0. Now as you can see, the actual detail, all the shading, lighting on the faces, everything is coming through quite nicely. We're getting a really nice look. The shadows, everything look proper, and all the base colors are coming through nicely. So I'm going to end it off here, as this is the part where you actually have to head into the base and you kind of get started into your storyline. But again, just pull up your PDA if you get stuck, click on the personal there, and it will tell you where you have to go. As well, make sure to check your emails for locker combinations and such. As well, pick up any PDAs that you find, and that will add them to the list here. Any of your video discs that you pick up can be found here, and then your personal inventory will show here. At the moment I don't have any equipment, but you will pick up equipment just after getting the quest that I just got from the commander here. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If there are any questions or concerns, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks a lot for watching, take care, and I'll talk to you again.